All right, so this is the cedar cuttings we did earlier in the year. Looks like we're getting really good drying down out of them, so we should have no problem doing the burn this coming probably February. I think in middle of February, late February. So we have as little time as possible without something covering the ground before it starts greening up again. We're going to burn this one on a south wind, which might be a little difficult to get in February, but that puts our main starting fire on the north side, so it'll back through. That puts all of our safety margin across the north half of our property, which gives us some little bit of insurance that if something jumps a line. Gives me a lot more space and a lot more workability to build a good line on the north side. And then we've got the small farm to market highway on the far north property boundary as fail-safe. But as you can see, these are dried down really well. And I think we got pretty much every one of them. There's a small patch way on the north end of this little point out by the creek, but that's not a concern. There's only about 5 or 6 little cedars. That'll just be a little 5-minute chop. Just drag out the saw for the next month or so. Next time I'm up, cut the last of those down. I do need to clear a good fire lane on the south side. We've got a few more cedars back there to cut, and then the rest of it is just going to be, I need to get a 4-wheeler back here and drag some of this down cedars out because they're just kind of in the way. They're all crisscrossed back there, so mostly moving stuff and dragging it out of the way to create that fire break because most of it's already cut. But I'm very pleased so far with how everything's drying down and looking. There are some cedars still upright in the trees, so I will have to correct that because I don't want the fire climbing up in all these oak trees. But looking pretty good. The main food plot is essentially a total loss. It's a really good thing that I did as diverse of a mix as I did, because the 2 main species that I was hoping for summer forage were soybeans and cowpeas, and it appears that essentially neither one of them made it, which is a pretty big bummer. But I've got a lot of okra coming up, got sun hemp, flax, I've got, let's see, some of the mustards are up, a lot of the brassicas are up, which they're not going to make it through the rest of the summer. July and August will probably torch them, but it is at least something. And they're pretty good mineral miners, so as they decompose this fall, when a new batch of seed goes into the fall plots, they'll at least help that out some. But it is a lesson in the benefits of diversity, because if it had just been a cowpea plot, or if it had just been a soybean plot, the, I don't know, 6 or so weeks we got with only about a ½ inch of rain right after planting would have done all of it in, and it had been a 100% failure. Quite a bit weedy, so I may have to do another spray for the fall plot, which I was hoping not to. I was hoping for my seed mix to come in thick enough that I could throw into it and then just scalp it on top of the seed and lay all that thatch down on top of the seed. But I'll have to look. I don't know a lot of the weeds in this area. I don't know when their time frame is as far as seed drops, so I definitely don't want to do just a throw and mow if it looks like I'm going to disperse seed from my weeds and cause a bigger problem. But the first unit that we've been working on, this southeast corner, is looking really good. As you can see, we've got some big oak trees in here, and basically any of the large oak trees on this ridge line have some pretty major lightning scars like you see here. So I'm gonna have to do quite a bit of work clearing around their base for that burn. I'm gonna try to give them all 5 or 10 feet of zero fuel under the trunk. Try to lose as few of those as we can. There's some, a lot of the big ones are bur oaks. We've also got some post oaks, sand post oaks, and 1 or 2 red oaks in here. I did find a patch of persimmons last time I was here, and the fruit's set, so that's good. Looks like it's going to actually be a pretty heavy year. So that's probably where I'm going to stick my camera, just because that's a good little carb source. There's no cattle or horses on the place this year, so it should be wild game and small game hitting it all the time. So I only have 1 camera that I'm dedicating to the property, and I just don't feel like, with the essentially failure of the main 2-acre plot, how large of a wide open space it is, and also just really how low a density deer numbers we have here, that I'll have an effective capture rate if I do it on an open field. I may look at just doing like a single point destination like that. I'm not throwing corn because we ended up having pigs at the beginning of the season. Right after planting, we had quite a bit of rooting. I did put out some corn because there was some, because we did have the sign. So I soured, I don't know, about 100 pounds of corn and put it out, hoping to get a pop a pig and get them scared off of the area. But in the 3 days that I left it, I didn't expect them to be on it so quick, and they burned through the full 100 pounds in 3 days. I'm walking on pig tracks. So they burned through the full 100 pounds in 3 days, so I wasn't able to pop anything, because by the time I got here, it was cleaned up, and they'd spent probably been, I don't know, 24 hours since any pigs have been on the property. So that's about it. This is the dove plot, which came in a lot better than the main plot. Planted the same day, which is interesting. Planted the same way, which is also interesting. And this has a smattering of basically every species I put in it. I can definitely find soybeans and cowpeas. We've got some sunflowers coming up. Looks like the sunflowers got nipped pretty hard. I don't know, with the really delayed germination, with almost 2 straight weeks without a drop of rain. We did have dove landing on this plot every morning and evening. So I'm wondering if sunflower seeds got picked up before germination. There's a few of them. There's this one is several types of millet, a couple sorghums. I've got flax in here, some sun hemp, some okra. There is safflower. There's some grazing corn, like you see here. That got hammered pretty hard. It's pretty light in here. But this was the most diverse mix I had. And I'm really pleased with how this one's coming up. It's not got any fertilizer on it, so I'm just going to let it do what it's going to do. It did end up a little less than half as big as I'd like. We got in between here and that pond dam, everything just got super wet, and we really ran out of time. We were running a tiller instead of a disc, and the speeds at which we had to go to not bog down the PTO on the tractor for the other plots was just incredibly slow. You kind of got to go down to the lowest gear and just kind of putt along. So trying to do 4.5 acres in a single day on a tiller. I think it's only 4-foot tiller. That's a bit off a little more than I could chew. But hopefully next year, all of this back through to the pond dam and over. I don't know if you can see where the vegetation changes right there. That's the residual from the spray. So all this did get Roundup sprayed, which, as you can see, a whole bunch of stuff made it through that first zap. But if I can find a way to come in no-till this fall, I may do winter wheat or rye on this whole 2-acre section that I originally wanted to plant for summer. I don't think I want to till the whole 2 acres and plant with rye or wheat, because that is considered baiting in Texas, at least as far as my understanding. No, there's some gray area on if it's general practices in agriculture, but I don't know. I don't really know what the legalities on that are, and I don't want to get in trouble. I'd rather hunt this. If we get some seed production out of this, I know we have morning and evening groups of doves into this pond, and if there's any kind of food out through here, it'll be a good stopping point, because every morning and every evening this spring and early summer there's been dove on the ground anyways. So, but I'm about to head over to the half-acre plot, the west plot, and do some weed control. That is Allie's clover and ash anemone joint vetch. And there's a whole bunch of cuckaburs coming up in it. And I've got a little sling blade scythe that I'm gonna go to town on. I've also got some hand pruners and loppers, and brought a weed eater, but I don't think, as thick as the stems are, I don't think the weed eater is gonna work on them. So I'll be running the sling blade a good bit today, just try to knock down the density on that cuckabur and let that joint vetch and Allie's clover come in, because it had pretty good germination. It's just in the early baby stages, as little rain as we've had. So now that we just got 5 inches of rain since Friday, and today is Wednesday, I expect everything that is germinated to really jump over the next couple of weeks. So I'd rather my food plot jump than the cuckaburs. But anyways, that's it.